What's up everyone, welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Video Game Fight School channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. So today's topic is one that I have tried my best to avoid for a very long time. I think I've mentioned it perhaps only once or twice, and that is the Gotham Knights TV show. This is a TV show that is basically adopting the very same name as the video game. Now, there are a lot of different aspects that we have to look into, but I'll probably try my best to keep it short and we'll just look into a few. So if you look at the Gotham Knights video game and the Gotham Knights TV show, you're going to realize that the TV show is slated for 2023 before it starts to air. But I don't necessarily think that this is going to keep it separated from the video game as much as people think, especially if you consider the fact that the video game is more than likely going to have the scenario where we have DLC content and a continuation of the game's story or narrative. The game does seem like the way it's been designed, it has an open-endedness to it, with maybe you're in a situation where we have a DLC with some other villains, or maybe a new character being added, or maybe some new activities that will probably extend the game's life cycle is going to continue going on. So if this Gotham Knights TV show kind of coincides with all of this, it's going to be really weird. But what in my opinion is actually quite interesting in all of what I want to talk about today is the fact that the Gotham Knights video game actually did get the name first, in a sense. Like, we got the confirmation of Gotham Knights in 2020, that's the video game, and then somewhere in like 2021 we got wind, or I think it was 22, that they were working on a Gotham Knights TV show for the CW network. And another thing too was its writers, or some of the people involved, I guess I don't know exactly what position they hold, were some of the people that worked on Batwoman. Now, nobody in my opinion that I know really cares about this Gotham Knights TV show, because a lot of you and a lot of us here that talk about video games, we talk about Gotham Knights from the video game perspective, the Arkham games, and the gaming industry as a whole. Very little do we spend time mentioning anything that's on the CW channel, because we know how the CW channel rolls. Personally, I have not touched anything on the CW channel since I think the Green Arrow. Maybe this was like even in 2014 or 15 was the last time, and the TV show kind of started going in a direction where I kind of thought, oh, this is all ridiculous, I might as well just not watch TV and just play video games, it'll probably serve me better. And I think I made the right choice. And so when you look at it, this is in my opinion kind of unfair to the developers themselves. Now, unless somebody emailed the developers and said, hey, we have a TV show that we want to make with some of the Bat family members, do you mind us using the exact same name as a video game title that you guys have coming out? And maybe the person said yes, or maybe somebody who was an executive greenlit this show regardless of what had already been going on in the gaming side of things. Again, here we are with another management issue, because this game is definitely going to come out before this TV show. Hopefully it does. And how are we going to find ourselves in a position where we're pretty much saying, oh yeah, Gotham Knights has nothing to do with Gotham Knights, when you have basically a space of a few months in between them? So it's a little weird and a little strange in my opinion, but I guess we can just probably wave our hands at it in some dismissive sense and say, when we get to that bridge, we'll cross it. And finally, for this conversation, there's something that's very interesting, and that is in the storytelling of this Gotham Knights TV show. As much as everybody would say that this particular Gotham Knights TV show has nothing to do with Gotham Knights, in both this TV show Gotham Knights and the video game Gotham Knights, Batman is supposedly dead. In terms of Gotham Knights, the video game, Batman is being suspected to have been killed by the Court of Owls or by some incident somewhere, basically a villain. While in Gotham Knights, the TV show, Batman is being suspected to have been killed by his adopted son and some of the children of villains. It's quite weird, isn't it, that these two very different, supposedly unrelated pieces of media, one a video game and one a TV show, have a very similar aspect to their plot line, which is the death of Batman. This probably leaves you in a place where you ask yourself, what's going on? If I wasn't thinking too hard about it, I'll probably say that there seems to be some kind of a tiredness with Batman in somebody's vision somewhere in Warner Brothers Entertainment. Now, I've seen the sentiment being also shown in terms of our discussions with Gotham Knights. Many of us initially, when Gotham Knights was revealed, we talked about how it was kind of weird not to have Batman as a central focus of Gotham Knights. Now, I know that particular side of the conversation has kind of moved on further. The game is already coming, so there's no need to revisit it. But just lately, I saw a comment on one of our videos, and somebody said one of the reasons they think a lot of people are probably upset because Gotham Knights, in the terms of the video game, is not a Batman game, is because a lot of the movies have brainwashed people into thinking that he's the only interesting character in the entire DC library. Now, that's a fair assessment in a sense, but to be very fair, there are not a lot of characters in the DC library that is actually as interesting as Batman, that's palatable for the mainstream. So let me repeat that again. That's palatable for the mainstream, because I know in the comment section I'm going to get torn apart if I end this video saying that there are no interesting characters in the DC library. That's not true. There are many interesting characters, but it appears that one that can be easily conveyed to the mainstream was Batman, and still remains Batman, because already over time and all these years, the brand has already stuck on the minds of a lot of people. Batman is now a part of American culture, and just the fact that he's a human being for the most part really gives him a lot of relatability. And I understand that there are other DC characters that are very interesting, and rightly so, they're being explored, like the Wonder Woman game, but you still find out that for everything that the DC superhero library wants to put in place, it appears that you kind of have to center a lot of things around Batman to kind of make him relatable to the entirety of humanity and entertainment nonetheless for the mainstream. I mean, if you think about it, Justice League and even other IPs. But in my opinion, I think this should not necessarily be the crux in terms of saying, okay, well, we want to move on from Batman, so let's go ahead and just kill him. To me, I don't think that's a good way of telling a story, because Batman has already reached legendary status. He has a family that's carrying on his legacy. He has allies. He has even some of his rogue gallery that ally with him from time to time in order for him to achieve his own goals. So a character like that is already in the Hall of Fame. What I believe that these writers could do, rather than co-opt the name of a video game for their TV show, because they probably are not necessarily confident in the product they're about to produce, that's just my honest opinion, I think that they should take these other characters that are within the DC library, look at the lessons that they could learn from the Batman having maintained success for 80 years, and then start to adapt those principles. It will work. Humanity and storytelling go hand in hand. If they're willing and able to tell these stories in a way that relates to human beings, they will be successful. But with the way they've co-opted the name of the Gotham Knights video game to push their TV show, I have a feeling that they're not necessarily interested in doing that. But like I said, we'll probably here in the video game side wave our hands and say when we get to that bridge, we'll cross it, and most of us will probably go ahead and still ignore the TV shows because we're not necessarily that interested. So thank you very much for watching the video. I would love to hear your thoughts about all of this in the comment section, and hopefully we'll talk very soon. Peace out.